Inside the military's secret undercover army, the largest undercover force the world has ever known is the one created by the Pentagon. Over the past decade, some 60,000. That's the private, quiet, secret military, not the CIA. That's different. This is Pentagon. And there's 60,000 is bigger than the militaries of most countries. Some 60,000 people now belong to this secret army, many working under masked identities and in low profile, all part of a broad program called signature reduction. The force, more than 10 times the size of the clandestine elements of the CIA, carries out domestic and foreign assignments both in military uniforms and under civilian cover, in real life and online, sometimes hiding in private businesses and consultancies, some of them household name companies. So just think about just that part of it, and I'm going to get to more, but just think about sometimes these people are in military uniforms and you say, well, how's that secret? Well, because they have fake identities. So they may pretend to be a far lower rank and have a different name, etc. Maybe pretend to be in a different area of the Pentagon than they actually are. So there's that aspect. Then there's ones that don't wear military uniforms and have a fake identity. So they probably pretend they are not military at all. And they run around doing God knows what. To continue, the unprecedented shift has placed an ever greater number of soldiers, civilians, and contractors working under false identities, partly as a natural result in the growth of secret special forces, but also as an intentional response to the challenges of traveling and operating in an increasingly transparent world. The explosion of Pentagon cyber warfare, moreover, has led to thousands of spies who carry out their day-to-day work in various made-up personas, the very type of nefarious operations the United States decries when Russian and Chinese spies do the same. So many of this 60,000 do most of their work online, and they have fake identities, but it's not just fake names. They have full fake identity, as it gets to the article, gets into some full fake identities from, fake social security number, fake email accounts, fake photos, everything that is fake as an online identity. And, it's tough to know everything that they're involved in, obviously. It would be quite a surprise if they were able to find out all that. A window into not just a little-known sector of the American military, but also a completely unregulated practice. Another key point here is the idea, and I know many of you will laugh at this, but the idea of the U.S. government is that you and I vote to put people into that government who then do the things that we want them to do, at least to some degree. That's the idea, right? That's the concept of representative democracy. We vote for those people. They then go do the thing. Now, I have brought to you many times about just how bought off all these people are. In fact, they just voted 412-1 for a genocide in the House of Representatives. They're bought off. But even if they weren't bought off, the secret military is not accountable to them. They don't know where these people are or what they're doing. They likely don't know where the money's going. I've brought to you endlessly about how no one knows where the money goes into the Pentagon. Much of it is going to this secret military. Do I know how much? No, I don't think anyone does. I don't even think the Pentagon does, because they clearly can't account for where most of their money goes. In their last failed audit, they said they couldn't account for 55% of their assets, which is over half of everything they're responsible for. Let's see, completely unregulated. No one knows the program's total size, and the explosion of signature reduction has never been examined for its impact on military policies and culture. Congress has never held a hearing on the subject. Congress has never even held a hearing. Not that they would get to the bottom of it. I'm sure they wouldn't do shit. But the idea they've never even once been like, what is this again? What is... Because we're supposed to decide about what the military is doing. What is this again? Never once held a hearing on it. That's unbelievable, even for Congress. Even for our Congress, which has a approval rating slightly south of herpes, that's even impressive for them. And yet the military developing this gigantic clandestine force challenges U.S. laws, the Geneva Conventions, the Code of Military Conduct, and basic accountability. The signature reduction effort engages some 130 private companies to administer the new clandestine world. 130 companies are involved in this. And this shows the amount that corporate America is part of our secret military. Dozens of little-known and secret government organizations support the program, doling out classified contracts and overseeing publicly unacknowledged operations. Altogether, the companies pull in over $900 million annually to service the clandestine force, doing everything from creating false documentation and paying the bills and taxes of individuals operating under assumed names to manufacturing disguises and other devices to thwart detection and identification, to building invisible devices to photograph and listen in on activity in the most remote corners of the Middle East and Africa. So, yes, some of it is done in other countries. Some of it's done right here in the United States. It is a massive clandestine military that our government, our Congress has never even asked to look at, never even asked to analyze. The newest and fastest growing group is the clandestine army that never leaves their keyboards. These are the cutting-edge cyber fighters and intelligence collectors who assume false personas online, employing non-attribution and misattribution techniques to hide the who and the where of their online presence. And this also speaks to, the fake Russian bot armies, which has now completely been debunked. Remember when Russian bots were all the rage? MSNBC was talking about them about every 30 seconds, saying, oh, Russian bots did this, Russian bots did that. Anytime there was a story that they didn't want you to know about, but the story was coming out anyway, they would say, oh, no, that's Russian bots. We don't know how much of those Russian bots. It has been debunked. Even the New York Times and other outlets have finally, years later, admitted that there was no, at least large-scale Russian bot operation. And every time they were pointing to, look at the Russian bots, those weren't Russian bots. They might have been bots, but they weren't Russian bots. We don't know how much of those might have been this clandestine military bot army that this secret military has put together. We know none of that. It's a completely unaccountable. I mean, it's hilarious how unaccountable the U.S. government is. There's no democracy to begin with, but even if there were a democracy in this country, we are not in control of what is happening by our government. Let's see, not misattribution to hide where the online presence, even engage in campaigns to influence and manipulate social media. Hundreds work in and for the NSA. But over the past 5 years, every military intelligence and special operations unit has developed some kind of web operations cell that both collects intelligence and tends to the operational security of its very activities. This protective effort entails everything from scrubbing the internet of telltale signs of true identities to planting false information to protect missions and people. I'll just insert here that one of the, now this had to do with the CIA, but it had to do with that same effort they're talking about, which is, scrubbing the internet, scrubbing true identities, false flag hacks, which is when they would hack a country, but pretend it was another country that did the hack rather than the United States. They have those kind of tools, and WikiLeaks was the one that revealed that the CIA had those kind of tools. It was called CIA Vault 7 that they revealed many of the tools that the CIA has. One of the ones that I remember from CIA Vault 7 was that they, and this isn't shocking, but they had the ability to go into a system, hack it, and then rather than leaving their own footprints where people would go, oh, I think this was an American hacker, a U.S. hacker, they would leave Russian footprints. They had a program that would leave Russian footprints, like a couple of Russian characters somewhere, or various other things, maybe a location, some sort of GPS. I don't know. But that was one of the tools that CIA Vault 7 had. And that's really pivotal because during the completely debunked Russiagate, we saw many, on MSNBC and the Democrats, et cetera, saying, oh, we've proven that it was Russia that hacked the DNC because we saw Russian letters in the hacking. If the FBI looked at looked at inside and figured out it was Russian footprints. And you go, well, we know that our CIA and others have tools to pretend it was Russians when it wasn't. But besides that, it also, there were mountains of evidence showing that it wasn't a hack. It was a leak. Someone within the DNC leaked the Clinton emails, etc. But okay, moving on. Signature reduction. Industry also works to figure out ways of spoofing and defeating everything from fingerprinting and facial recognition at border crossings. So this is not just online hacking. It's sneaking into countries and somehow succeeding at defeating the facial recognition systems. To ensuring the undercover operatives can enter and operate in the United States, manipulating official records to ensure that false identities match up. An impressive amount of people, effort, I'm sure money goes into this false military, or false might not be the best word, but secretive military that the U.S. has that has never been analyzed or regulated by Congress, by the people we actually vote for. I mean, incredible. And this is a Newsweek article. So it's not like the mainstream media doesn't know this exists or Congress doesn't know this exists. They've probably read this article and yet they let it go on.